This is Will Robbie for IFC News. Ohio and Texas were supposed to be the final frontiers for the race to the Democratic nomination, but fortunately for Hillary Clinton, she pulled out enough of a victory to be able to stay in the race. Let's go to Sarah Scully for more.
This is Sarah Scully reporting from the Hillary campaign. A plane is an essential component to campaigning in Ohio and Texas. Hillary has put a lot of effort into the state of Ohio. We're right now flying to Youngstown, and her campaign will be staging events in 88 counties.
Both campaigns were flying back and forth between the two states, with Clinton focusing on her stronghold in Ohio.
What is Hillary's secret in Ohio?
You know, she's very popular among low-income voters in Ohio, and the thing that is really astonishing to me is that this is actually the only Democratic group I've ever met that actually dislikes Obama. They basically think of him as this kind of latte-sipping college boy. They just think he's a little too intellectual, that he doesn't really talk on their level, and they actually don't like him. And that this is a pretty substantial portion of the Democratic electorate in Ohio, and that's really her base there, and that's really what's helping her right now.
As the race intensified, Obama maintained his above-the-fray approach. Clinton varied her tactics, playing both attacker and victim with her opponent, as well as with the press.
I would ask you to look at this story, substitute my name for Senator Obama's name, and see what you would do with this story. That's what I would ask you to do. What is that? What it means is, just ask yourself.
The truth is, for all of the complaining and all of the whining by some of the folks in the Clinton campaign, all of the kind of chatting up the referees, as we say in sports, she's really gotten sort of a pass in this race. And, you know, she talks about being vetted, she talks about being tested, she doesn't release her tax return, she won't release her records from the Clinton library. You know, I think there are so many open questions, and I don't know why they don't get asked, but I assume that they will eventually.
With polls going up and down, the competition got nasty, and it was anyone's guess as to who would win, but few were willing to bet against Clinton.
It's almost impossible to forecast these things, as anybody who lived through this year's New Hampshire primary knows.
She will then be able to declare that she's the comeback kid, even though it's not a big margin, because so many members of the media, particularly television pundits, have written her off.
Is this going to go to Pennsylvania and beyond, you think?
It may. I would never count out Hillary Clinton. I would never count out any Clinton.
Clinton was able to put off the obituaries by saying it all comes down to Ohio and Texas, but on the other hand, that means she absolutely has to win.
Hillary did manage to edge out Obama in both primaries. She claims to have turned the tide in her favor, but delegates were distributed almost evenly, with Obama still ahead, rendering these contests essentially moot and making Pennsylvania the next battleground.
I'm sure that the Clinton campaign will seize on the results in Ohio, the fact that they won a primary after having lost 12 in a row, as a sign that maybe they can go on.
As for the Republicans,
John McCain officially became the Republican nominee in Texas. As you can see, it's not overwhelming excitement, as this was pretty much expected, but now it's official and he can continue to plan for the general election.
Bickering Democrats will now have the added challenge of catching up to the Republicans and putting together a general election strategy. For more uncut election coverage and our blog, check out ifc.com.